Yeah, perfect. So my name's Liam Palmer. I am CEO and founder of CareTech Guide. CareTech Guide builds a bridge between CareTech suppliers and care providers with a focus on encouraging care providers to find good tech and improve their services.
I guess maybe then, what's hot, what's good in tech? Obviously we've been through as a sector a huge transition from paper to digital care records. So that's like, it done? Maybe not, but it's well, yeah. If you're most care providers will now have a system they use.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
What other new stuff is there? Is there new interesting things coming to the sector? What should we be looking out for in terms of technology?
It's a fair question. I mean, digitising social care. Our friends from the Department of Health and Social Care did an amazing job to help get that digital social care record out. We've got about 80% of care providers having that first system, which is really fantastic. But it's the first layer. So rostering's a good next step. There is acoustic monitoring, but then also you've got your back office, you've got your finance, your applicant tracking systems for recruitment. There's various tech platforms that helps people find talent. So really, the question before what's next for tech is what's your strategy and what's unique about your service, where are the pain points now, and then to create a bit of a sort of destination of what would be amazing, and then okay, we're here now, how do we get there and what's our next step?
That's interesting. So one of our clients is an acoustic monitoring company called Just Checking and Just Roaming. And we do sort of videos and marketing for them. And yeah, it's like really simple technology at its core, right?
Yeah.
Like what it does, but the benefits of what it delivers are absolutely incredible. Yeah. And it's so much less invasive than, say, a camera, which is just not an option for a lot of people. Yeah, and it's a really, it can make a huge difference for like how you deliver care, how much it costs you to deliver care, how you assess people's care needs. And then onto rostering. I cannot fathom, so I've got my coffee shop.
That's right.
I've got about 10, 12 part-time staff.
Okay.
I don't know how you would do it without a rostering platform. So I used one called Deputy. Which I think they're here today. How on earth you would do it for a care home when you've got 60 staff? I mean, it's nuts, isn't it?
I mean, I remember putting a rostering system into a large nursing home a couple of years back, and it was really fascinating because it was a small private group and they weren't very tech-enabled or pro-tech, and so the team were a bit apprehensive, and there were some people that barely used a mobile phone. But what was really fascinating, it was one of the sort of strong brands. What was really fascinating was the people that weren't advocates became advocates because as a carer, it just made everything a lot better organised. Holidays, picking up shifts. So I think that's the interesting thing with tech. It's about how you can make your services better, which then genuinely frees up your attention to put it on something else. I mean, a great example with the care monitoring when we put that first layer in was that because there's a single source of truth for what's going on with the client, you can then look at it with one of your peers and then ask questions. Whereas before, you couldn't actually work out what was going on with the client. You have to look at notes and speak to all these different people. So well-designed tech can genuinely transform care services. But I think the challenge for all the tech vendors is to understand the context of care and to explain it well. It's not about the tech, it's about how you can then run your service better, how your team can work more effectively, and how your service can be better than it was. So the tech is just an enabler of a more modern workplace and providing better service, essentially. And that bit is quite hard to explain, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, a lot of the time, I guess what happens is the leaders, the owners of the companies are very excited about how the technology can save money, improve efficiencies, do that with different pieces, but then forget how much of a big change it is. Like you said, even the rostering system, which for me seems like an absolute no-brainer. But if you have a system and it's in place and it works, there's going to be a bit of pain for you to change.
Yeah, it's
right?
true. Yeah. It's true. It's true. And I think this is a difficult part for tech vendors to talk about with care providers because they want to sell. They want to get their customers, but actually, in a lot of cases, you need some decent project management that's really well organised, and then often, I'm going to say it, you need 3, 6, 9 months to bed it in. And the benefit, and it's a bit of a curve where the benefits start accruing. It's a bit like a new staff member. You know, they're all smiling, they're okay, but they're not that productive to start with. But give them a few months and then it gets better and better. So it's somebody having the guts to say, in 6 or 12 months' time, our service will be a whole lot better. But for the next 6 to 12 months, it's a period of change, it's a period of transition, people are going to gripe. But then once they get it, the benefits kick in. And actually the benefits build, they're cumulative over time. And that's why I'm excited to promote tech, because it's about getting services to be better quality, better care, right?
We were discussing in the car on the way down about how, you know, when there's a new technology that's offered up, people are looking for a reason not to use it.
Yeah.
Whereas actually if you flip that idea and say, well, what's wrong with the existing system?
Yeah.
Like, for example, cars, electric, petrol.
Yeah.
You know, if you said, you know, well, we've invented this new thing, you just have to drive around with a huge tank of flammable liquid underneath where your children sit.
Yeah.
You cool with that?
Yeah.
And you sort of, I guess, when you're changing, say, a rotoring system, you say, well, yes, there will be things that happen, that the new system's not going to be perfect, but, you know, if we were starting from scratch, would you really write out everybody's shifts, ring them up to check they were available? You know, they don't have a record of it, you don't know when they're available on holiday or not, so yeah, it's really...
Well, and I think, you know, it's taken me a long time to embrace change, because part of me, you know, does like the status quo. But I think one of the considerations for adopting some bold new tech is the actual risks you've got in your service right now. You know, for example, without rostering, if you don't get your nurse shift right, you've got no shift, you've got no nurse to cover your shift. If the communications about who swapped with which shift doesn't work, you're actually going to run the shift short, which actually puts people at risk. So sometimes it's less about the shiny tech, and it's actually, let's look at the risks you've already got. I know you're able to live with them, but wouldn't it be better if you could reduce those risks? Because then that frees your attention up for the residents, for the staff, to lead the service even better. The minutiae of running it becomes easier, and that's the sort of magic of good tech, I think.
So obviously you've got tech kind of in and around your job title, company name. I'm going to have to ask you about AI. Anything happening interesting? Obviously, you know, there's a load of developments happened recently, but the actual application of it can be quite problematic, difficult, complicated.
Yeah.
Is there any good examples? Is there any, or we still got so many basics to sort that?
I mean, there's that generative AI project that Oxford University is doing with Katie Thorne and Daniel Casson. That's a session on a bit later today, which is really exciting. But I think it's certainly in the very early stages, and I think a bit like the conundrum between selling and benefit. You know, if you talk to a care provider that does a certain process and then say, oh, great news, we don't need people, we can just press a button. It's like, well, but if it goes wrong, that's the safeguarding, I'm a registered manager, I'm getting put in prison for something going wrong. AI gives me no comfort. But actually, it just needs explaining and selling well. So if you would say, look, AI can automate a lot of the boring, non-value added stuff where you're just repeatedly filling in the same information on different forms. So let's agree how AI can just automatically do that for you, and that time means that you can then spend more time on analysis, problem solving, strategy, customer care. How does that sound? That sounds good. So we've got to position it that AI is not taking over, it's an enabler for certain core processes, because rewriting something 3 times is no additional value. So there's already AI in tech, it's just we haven't been talking about it. So I think the next step is to intelligently work out which bits where AI can add some value, and then when we're selling it to care providers, do it in a reassuring, clear way. To say you still retain control, we're not letting the system take over. This is where it adds value by where you're just repeatedly doing admin tasks, and that frees you up to do the strategic human stuff, because we do need human oversight, don't we? It's really important.
And you know, an interesting application I tried to use AI to help me with was deciding whether I should open my coffee shop at 8 or 9.
Oh, okay.
So, and obviously I've got loads of sales data from my EPOS system, So downloading that and actually trying to look through it, and I was like, I can't. It's too many different things to look at once. So actually, I asked AI to say, look, can you help explain what the level of sales were? Can you compare them with different pieces? And I was able to use that information with my own experience and knowledge, to say, actually, the decision would be to not open at 8, open at 9 instead, because so using it for things like that, where you can help yourself make bigger decisions. Getting through data.
I'm with you. I mean, I was really slow to take up AI, your ChatGPTs and Perplexities and stuff like that. And my good friend Tim Dallinger, who's a social care trainer, he uses it, but like you, he uses it intelligently. He's a subject expert already. He creates his content already, but then he'll use AI to tweak or refine or to make a coherent sense of those 10 points. So I think, for me, that's reassuring, because AI is just looking at connections between data it's already got. So for me, it's reassuring that AI needs humans, and we shouldn't be overly reliant. We should be driving it and leading it, and intelligently using it. And I mean, we all see LinkedIn posts where people have just created something out of AI, and it has no value. And that reminds me that there is a value in mastering a subject. There is a value in understanding stuff, isn't there?
Yeah.
There is.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite ready to take over the world yet, is it?
Yeah, no, not yet.
we're still needed for a little while.
Yeah, we're still here for a bit longer. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming to see us today.
Pleasure,
and good to
have a great show.
Good to see you.
Thanks
and
a lot.
You too. Yeah, we'll speak soon.